Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, so when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. The dangers of I want you but I don't need you. Now, I believe that men and women are designed to complement each other. And there's certain things about relationships you will never be able to fully understand until you actually get into a real life situation. Whether it's approaching, whether it's being a partner, whether it's being a parent, whatever type of relationship you're in, there's only so much you can learn through actually hearing or reading about that thing. You have to actually experience it to fully understand what is needed of you in that situation. Why do I say it's dangerous to have the mentality, I want a partner, but I don't need one? This is particularly for women because we know we live in a post-feminist world. Feminism tells women that they can do anything, they can be anything, and they're empowered to outcompete men. And to an extent that's true because we know there's lots of things that both men and women are very capable of doing. But we always have to remember that there's a biological clock that women have to think about when it comes to dating, mating and relationships. Whereas a man can have children as long as he's able to engage in sexual activity, a woman's ability to have healthy offspring and the time and energy to raise them is limited compared to a man. To me, when a woman says, I want a man but I don't need one, the first thing that I think of is maybe a fear of commitment or vulnerability. You see, if you say, I want you, but I don't need you, you're ultimately putting yourself in a position of power. Openly verbalizing that I need you is ultimately saying to yourself, I have a deficiency and I cannot cover that base on my own. Now, in a postmodern and a post-feminist world, this creates a high degree of cognitive dissonance in many modern liberal women because, unfortunately, the idea of them not being all-powerful, all-knowing, all-sufficient, desired by all men is a foreign concept. The way the media, social media, and years of programming have got women thinking they are all woman, hear me roar, means that the idea of them having a vulnerability or a weakness or needing a man in particular for something is something that causes a literal reaction in them. When you've heard for decades, I'm strong, I'm independent, I don't need a man, the idea of thinking I need you is now something that is almost repulsive. This is why so many women today cannot get into healthy relationships, and when they get into one or get into a relationship with somebody who is healthy, they feel trapped, they feel controlled. They are not used to having this idea that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to have a weakness because that's what my partner is there for. Now, what we find in a lot of situations is the woman looks at the man as the cheerleader. She looks at him like he's on her team and he's there to do her bidding. And anytime he is not doing what she wants him to do, that man is now not loving her or he's controlling. But this is not how the relationship is supposed to be set up. If the man is the leader, he also has to have the authority to lead. He has to be given the power to make final decisions. And that's something that women who are used to living on their own, controlling their own lives, and being completely independent of a man's opinions or personal or physical support, they are not used to doing. A lot of women say they like a man who is a leader, but ultimately what they want is a man who will take the blame and the responsibility for things when things go badly. They want him to lead in the areas where she either doesn't want to do it, or she wants him to lead in the areas where she feels like I benefit from this thing. But she doesn't want the man to have the ultimate control and leadership in the relationship because that would mean she would have to take a secondary position. Again, after years of being told you're strong and independent, you don't need a man, the idea of taking the submissive, supportive role is something that a lot of women today find very challenging. Saying, I want you, you're inadvertently saying, I can take you or leave you. which means you don't have to be fully open with the person, because you know when you're ready, you can just walk away. Having this mindset means you always have a grass is always greener, or there's always a back door or a way out mentality. Anytime the situation is not suitable for you, or it gets too heavy or too real, you can just walk away and say, this was not what I wanted anymore. This is dangerous for women because our options are limited, and so is our time. Moving from one partner to another, becoming emotionally attached and bonded, and then that bond breaking, starting all over again with different people, it all accumulates baggage, which ultimately makes it harder for us to bond to a good person when we do meet them. You see, opposites don't always attract. If you are a person who has emotional trauma, maybe you have certain psychological issues or unresolved issues, it's going to be very hard for you to be in a healthy relationship with somebody who's emotionally grounded and stable. So in this situation, making and breaking bonds with different partners, being built up only to be disappointed, can ultimately lead to a life of singleness. Because just like Pavlov's dog, over time you become conditioned to expect a negative result when you get into a relationship. This can lead to a life of self-fulfilling prophecy. You enter the relationship expecting it to end badly. You behave in a way that causes the person to distance themselves from you or even resent you. The relationship deteriorates, and in your mind it's now been reinforced that getting into relationships is a waste of time. This is what we mean by people becoming jaded. They keep having these bad experiences that ultimately lead them to believe there's just no hope left in the world. The reason why the I want you but I don't need you mentality is so dangerous, especially for women, is because they do not have as many options as they are led to believe they have. You believe that there's always somebody out there better, and that you have what it takes to get that better individual. Even if you have a partner who has qualities that you need, you are not going to recognize those when you feel like you have so much control in the relationship that you can take or leave a good person. This channel, although I brandish it as a woman bashing channel, it's not about helping women to fix the wrongs. And of course, I believe in hope, I believe in second chances, I believe there's life after mistakes or a bad start. But my goal really is to encourage people, especially the young women who are in this audience, to not make certain mistakes in the first place. Because there are certain mistakes we just don't come back from. Yes, God can forgive us, we can repent, but that doesn't mean to say that we are not going to have to endure the consequences of our choices of our previous life. And because there are certain things we cannot take back, prevention is always better than cure. So let me be clear. We all know situations where people have been in a bad place, they've been broken, they've met somebody who has really helped them in their journey to healing. But I don't support getting with a partner and expecting that person to be your confidant, to be your psychotherapist, to be your doctor, to be your financial advisor, your life coach. I don't believe in putting all these hats on a partner. I personally feel that it's not fair that if you meet somebody, you expect them to fix the problems that the previous people left behind. If you are on a journey of healing and encouraging yourself, then that's the great place to start, and that's what you should lead with. I've come out of this relationship, it was like this, and I'm currently doing this in order to get to the best version of myself. The person now is encouraged to work with you because they can see you're working to build yourself back up. I'm not a fan of somebody trying to build other people up, rescue or save people, because with all due respect, there are some people who are in the situation they're in because they're actually quite content to be there. It's familiar, it's what they're used to, and it's what they actually want. They may say, I want a better life, I want to change, I want to heal. But if they're not actively showing you the signs that they're trying to do anything about their current situation, how you start is how it's going to continue. And to be honest, as the relationship goes on, often how you start is from where it deteriorates downwards. Often things don't get better. They stay the same or they escalate. And if you get married, the pressures of marriage can also cause a lot of other issues that were there to become even more prominent. The desire to be a wife, to live up to the expectations of the spouse, maybe the in-laws are involved. All of these can escalate any underlying problems. So we want to go into relationships already working on our issues so that we can carry that progress forward into the relationship. You see, it's not nice to say, but we don't necessarily want to be burdened with other people's problems. And although we can come into a situation and there's an issue there, you want to know that this person is doing everything they can to handle it. Once you see they are actively trying to make their life better, you as a person who's coming into this situation are going to feel more relaxed about engaging this person, because their problems ultimately will become your problems. Their issues and hang-ups, their baggage will become your baggage. Their debt becomes your debt. Their baby mama or baby daddy drama becomes your drama once you and them become connected. So we have to evaluate whether we really want to go into relationships with people who are not working on their issues, because we have to understand, once the two of you become one, their problems become your problems. So if you are a woman and you're saying, I want a man, but I don't need a man, you are ultimately saying, I always have another option out there, and anytime I don't like this one, I'm going to swap you out for another. And eventually you will run out of swaps. If you do not appreciate what a man or a partner can do for you, that's how you easily end up declining in the quality of partners you date. Because, as I said earlier, we are designed to complement each other. Eve was a rib without a body, and Adam was a body with a rib missing. And when the two come together, there are certain things that are going to be needed or met by the other person. For example, women by nature, we know we're more logical, we're more emotional, we're less likely to be long-term thinkers. Whereas a man has a longer foresight, he's not as emotional, he's going to be a lot more rational about certain situations. So when you bring the feminine and the masculine energy together, it makes a whole picture. It's like having a lookout tower that can see 365 degrees around. There's certain things the woman will see, feel, think that a man will not. And so she covers certain bases while he covers others. Now, if you have the mentality, I only want you, what's ultimately going to happen is you're eventually going to discard the man for what he can do for your life, simply because you feel like you don't need anything he has to offer. So let me know what you think in the comments section. Have you looked back on some previous partners and thought, I wish I had given that person a better chance. I left this partner for a different person, and now I realize this guy was the better option, or this girl was the right one for me. Are you in a current relationship where you can look at your partner and say, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have this person in my life? Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.